Welcome to the Ice Talks, where we implement change every day. Hey, how you doing? This is Harold S. Reed Jr., also known as HRJR, your motivational coach. I'm doing something different today. I'm doing my Facebook Live Monday morning motivation live at the same time I'm recording the next episode of the Ice Talks. So for those of you listening to the podcast, I had to wait for the camera to link up so I could be speaking on the same accord with the Facebook Live audience as well as you. So let me get right into it. I apologize. First, let me start by apologizing for not doing a Monday morning motivation live last week. As I titled this live, 48 and Feeling Funky. Last Wednesday was my 48th birthday. And for those who are going to say happy birthday again, thank you. If you're going to say happy belated, thank you. But I didn't do a live because I was feeling funky. I've been in a funk for quite some time. And it's difficult to be a source of motivation if I'm not feeling it. I may feel funky, but what I'm not going to do is fake the funk. That's for certain. So I find myself, or rather found myself, in yet another position where I'm taking stock of my life. Taking stock of my successes, taking stock of my setbacks, taking stock of my failures, and looking for areas where in which I can always make improvements. And I think, and I've said this before, I think I said it in a live I did last week that wasn't a motivation live, or it was in a conversation, but how can I put this? How did I put it? Listen, I'm getting close to 50. Knock, knock, knocking on 50's door, and I ain't talking about the rapper. Basically, I had a song stuck in my head. It's a Jay-Z song called Show 'Em What You Got, where at the end of the song, I believe he says, y'all got 2 months to get y'all ish together. And for me, that lyric got paraphrased in my mind, and I was saying to myself, you got 2 years to get your ish together. Now, there's a great many things I've accomplished in 48 years, but there are a great deal of things I wish to accomplish by the time I'm 50. So, I guess what I'm doing today with both this podcast that I'm recording as well as this Facebook Live is encouraging you to, if you haven't taken stock of your life now, no matter where you are, no matter how old you are, no matter what you're doing, take a moment to pause. Stop. Look at your life. Ask yourself, are you where you want to be? And if you're not, you have to be honest with yourself. Are you happy with your circumstances? I'm not asking you if you're content. See, because if you're content, you'll just stay where you are. If you're content, you're comfortable. If you're content and you're comfortable, you'll stay where you are. We go through this every morning, especially, I don't know about for people living on the West Coast, but here on the East Coast, at least in New Jersey, the cold is starting to come. It's finally starting to come. I just got through telling my boy Magic the other day because he was talking about the weather. I was like, you should be grateful because normally it's already cold by now. It's just starting to get cold. We've had some 70, 80 degree days over the past couple weeks when normally in Jersey it's about like 60 September 1st. It's like 60 degrees out. So here we are. Take stock of your life. And the reason why I bring up the weather is because when it's cold and you got the heat on in the house, we just started turning the heat on. You got the heat on in the house and you all balled up in your blanket. Right around the time you have to get up and go to work and start your day, get the kids up and ready for school, whatever it is you have to do, you don't want to. I have yet to meet a human being who was balled up, all warm and toasty in their blanket, as the saying goes, snug as a bug in a rug, and want to get up out of that and want to get up and face, put your feet on the cold floor or just go outside and have the cold wind hit your face. Nobody wants to leave their bed and face any of that. But we do. We do because we have to. We do because we have responsibilities. Now, this is what taking stock of your life is like. You can't just be content. Being content and being comfortable are the quickest ways to lead yourself into a life of mediocrity. All right? I want you to understand that. Right? And while a life of mediocrity is comfortable, there's no risk. You're not taking any gambles. You're not putting yourself out there for anything. You just existing. You letting every day come. You letting every day go. Long as don't nobody mess with you, you don't mess with nobody, life is good. No, it's not. In the long run, you'll find that it's not. You'll find that when you get into your 40s and your 50s and your 60s and you realize you have a lot less time in front of you than you do behind you, you'll find yourself asking, what if? What if I'd have taken that chance? What if I'd have talked to that girl? What if I'd have talked to that guy? What if I didn't let him go? You'll find yourself going through those things. And the one thing you do not want to do is live a life where you have regrets. So as my birthday was creeping upon me last week, that's what I was doing. And there are some things that, I have a great many things to be proud of. I have a great many things to be grateful for, but I was not comfortable. I was not comfortable. So I'm analyzing myself. What more can I do with the time that I have? How many more goals can I set and reach in my lifetime? You have to take stock of yourself. And you have to also, in taking stock of yourself, don't just identify the things that you have a problem with and be like, oh, well, I forgive myself and move on to the next thing. No. No. When you find a failing within yourself, you have to analyze that. And you have to discover what the source of that failing is. And you have to discover how you can go about defeating that failure. What can you gain from it? What can you learn from it? What has come about in your life, in your circumstances, to bring about that personal flaw within yourself? It could be something everybody knows about you. It could be something that you discover within yourself and people might not even notice it. But nobody knows you better than you know yourself. So as the saying goes, it's not so much a saying, but a quote, and I believe it was Shakespeare, to thine own self be true, right? You can't make the course corrections in your life that you need to make if you're not being true with yourself. If you're not being honest with yourself, then you can't make the necessary corrections you need to make in your life. So take stock of yourself. When you find yourself in a funky mood, it's not so much that you're sad. It's not so much that you're even in a clinical state of depression. Your subconscious is telling you, I am lacking. And you can either just, get yourself a glass of wine and listen to some Sade or some Adele and wait for the mood to pass, or you can utilize that time as an opportunity to recognize that something within you is not in balance. Balance is very important to me because my zodiac sign, I'm a Libra. I think a year or so ago, people came out with a new zodiac schedule. So everybody's signs they added signs or they took away signs and they pushed. Listen, I was born a Libra. I'm a die a Libra. I'm about the scales. I'm about balance, period. Right? And the crazy thing about identifying balance is being able to identify imbalance. And when those times come, as what happened to me last week, you have to identify those imbalances or that imbalance, and you have to address it. Whether it's with another person, whether it's within yourself, you have to address it. Because that's the only way you're going to get better. That's the only way you're going to heal. If you have a coach, talk to your coach. If you have a psychologist or a therapist, talk to that person. If you have a loved one whom you can trust, talk to that person. If you have nobody you can trust, nobody that you feel as though you can confide in, get yourself a pen, a piece of paper, or a book, a notebook, and create a journal for yourself. All right. I've had therapy. I've had issues with depression. I've had issues with post-traumatic stress from my former job, but my best form of therapy has been something I've been doing since I was a teenager, and that's journaling. Because that way I can get my feelings out, and I'll have a means for even looking back on them later on in life, so I can see where I've grown, or I can see what more growing I need to do. That's all a part of taking stock of yourself. So, 48 and feeling funky. At the onset, that feeling funky wasn't good. But now, I'm feeling funky in a fly kind of way. I'm starting to feel myself. Like I said earlier about the Jay-Z lyric, I got 2 years to get my ish together. And I got some things I want to do. And I got, definitely got some bills to pay, got some bills to knock off. I want to get all that done. Because, listen, and by the time, when 50 come, 2 years ain't too far away. Okay? So when 50 comes, not the rapper, my age, when the age of 50 comes, to me, I want minimal worries in this world. And one of the things I realized I have to do is going to sound funny. I got to be less polite. A lot of people who have come into my life over the past few years, they've only known me as, being a police officer and carrying myself a certain way. And in carrying myself that way, one of the things I realized was that I was deluding myself into believing that I was being humble, letting other people have their say, letting other people have their way, and just subduing my feelings and keeping my feelings to myself, contrary to popular belief. So what I would say to that is, if the things that you have seen and heard me say have shocked you, imagine what I've held back. Okay? Imagine what I've held back. Now, I'm not saying I'm going to wild out and go like totally off the rails and immature and respond to every situation in a ridiculous manner. But getting older, I'm coming to realize that I need to be more forward with my feelings. And if you don't like it, well, then it just sucks to be you. In some cases, I'm giving people the warnings, get a condom for your heart, because I'm about to F your feelings. If it comes down to that. Hope those times and instances are rare. But like I said, I'm coming up on 50. I have outlived a great many of the people I look up to. I think Martin Luther King was 39 when he passed. I think Malcolm was like in his mid-late 30s when he passed. You know, there are a lot of people who have passed. Tupac and Biggie, gone. They were gone in their mid-20s, okay? And here I am, blessed to see 48 and don't want to foresee anything standing in the way of 50. I just want to get things done. And that's what I want you to do. I want you to take stock of your life, understand what you got going on, understand where you're coming from, understand what you're doing to yourself, understand what your circumstances are, and take note of the things you have to improve. Don't rely on anybody else to make those improvements. Rely on yourself to make those improvements. You see, because if you're not useful to yourself, you are useless to anybody and everybody else. So, with that being said, I'm going to go about enjoying this beginning of my 49th rotation around the sun, as I like to call it. And it's going to be a new day. It's going to be a new day for me. You don't have to wait for your birthday. Please don't wait for your birthday, because I don't know when your birthday is. Your birthday might be tomorrow. Your birthday might not come around again till next year. But today, there's 24 hours in the day. We've only gone 8 hours and 20 minutes into this day. Okay? So you still have some 13 hours and change. No, excuse me. 15 hours and change. All right? Take some time, 5-10 minutes to yourself. Turn off the music, turn off the TV, turn your phone off, lock the door, sit with yourself, be with yourself, and take stock of your life. Get a pen and paper or a journal and write down, this is what I'm grateful for. This is what I need to correct. 2 columns. This is what I'm awesome at. This is what I need to correct. Okay? Don't be surprised if you're being truly honest with yourself, don't be surprised if you find that there are more items in the things I need to improve column than there are things I'm awesome at. Because the next time you make that list, if you actually go about improving those things in that other column, the things that I need to improve column, imagine how big that awesome list will be the next time you create that list for yourself. Take stock of yourself, improve yourself so that you could be whatever age you are and feeling funky in a good way. All right? What goes around comes around. Happy times go around and come around. Down times go around and they come around. But as I always tell people when they greet me and I greet them in return, every day above the dirt and below the radar is a good day. Also, you know what? Hey, Harold, how you doing? Hey, listen, as long as I woke up, the hard part is over. All right? So you got to take a whole new, if you got to take a whole new outlook on life, do that. Do just that. All right? The secret of life is simple. And the secret of life is simple. I just dropped a jewel on you. Pay attention. The secret of life is that life is simple. Now, if there's anybody watching this Facebook Live or listening to this podcast, since I've said that twice already, if your first response was, what the hell is he talking about? If your first response was, life ain't nowhere near simple, guess what? That's exactly why it's not. Because if that was your first response, then that was your initial subconscious belief coming to the forefront. Now, I believe personally that the law of attraction is a real thing. I believe it to exist. The law of attraction states you will get in your life that which you focus your attention most towards. So if I tell you that life is simple because that's what I believe, and you choose to respond to me opposite of that, if you choose to believe that life is complicated, then the law of attraction will give you just what you believe. And this is why I guarantee you, this is why so many people, maybe some of you listening and watching, have more complicated lives than you necessarily need to, and damn sure more than you deserve to have. Change your mindset, change your frequency, change your life. Life is simple. Tell yourself that. Write it down somewhere where you can see it. Put it on a post-it and tape it to your mirror in the bathroom. Put it on the lamp shade next to your bedside, on your nightstand. Put it on your desk at work. Put it on, on your dashboard. Tape a post-it to your dashboard in your car. Somewhere where you could always have a friendly reminder of one thing. Life is simple. You're going to have your ups and downs. I've talked many times about peaks and valleys. You're going to have peaks and valleys, twists and turns. But in the end, as long as you wake up, as long as you live to see the day through, rest your body and get to open your eyes and have life breathed into you for another day, as long as you have that next day, you have a great chance and a great opportunity to make things better. With that being said, I'm going to end this Facebook Live post. I will reach back to everybody that I see shouted out along the sides, and I'm going to close out the podcast. So you guys have yourselves a great day. Have yourselves a great week. Also, for those of you watching as well as those of you listening, we're still looking to get the follower numbers up. So go to Spreaker.com. That's Spreaker.com, Spreaker.com. Look up the title of this podcast, of my podcast, The Ice Talks. All right? Click follow, favorite, like, whatever the hell it is you have to do, because I got to get these follower numbers up so that I can submit this podcast to be distributed and, broadcast on iHeartRadio. If you could do that for me, that would be great. So, with that said, have yourselves a great week. Take care of yourselves. Take care of one another. Be strong. Everybody that's here, I'm going to shout you out when I end everything, and I'll respond where responses need to be made. You guys take care of yourselves. I'm out. Thanks again for listening to another episode of the Ice Talks, where we implement change every day.